Price of our cattle, I read all this stuff about, a lot of these, you got all this empty feedlot space and they might have to go out business.
Right.
Is that going to affect on what we can get for stock of cattle?
It could eventually, because there is a lot of excess feed yard capacity. And that's one of the reasons that we see these cattle bid up is to get some cattle in those yards. But, eventually, if they don't make money, then they're going to have to wind up moving them, and that will reduce the capacity. So that is a potential. All right. Last thing I want to mention is just these are some things that probably aren't going to happen this year, but it's something that we need to be aware of. One of those just has to do with the use of antibiotics and food animal production. I don't know how much y'all keep up with or how much you read, but there's been several different instances to where either FDA has floated a rule about how we use antibiotics in livestock production, or somebody's tried to get something introduced in the committee in Congress. But there's a lot of concern about antibiotic resistance in humans. And regardless of what the science says about antibiotic usage in livestock production, people know that we use antibiotics, and they're concerned about that. And they're concerned about our access to it. Now, the science is not real clear. There's some studies that say, yeah, there's a link. There's some studies that say, no, there's a link. Probably, I want to go, I think probably the stuff that makes the most sense is antibiotic resistance in humans is a real complicated subject. And there are several things that are involved here. Antibiotic use in livestock production, doctors over-prescribing antibiotics, and lots of other things. But as a cattle producer, the main thing to keep in mind is that consumers are concerned about that. And so that's something that we're going to have to be aware of. You have to be thinking about longer term. GMOs, there's a lot of people now that are concerned not only about antibiotics and implants, but just GMOs, Roundup Ready corn, Roundup Ready soybeans, those kinds of things. And again, regardless of what the science says, and the science is very clear on this, that there's no problem here. But there are some people that don't want to be confused with the facts. And so they are concerned about GMOs. And so I guess one of the reasons that I put this up here is if you are one of those people that is producing locally raised any type of meat, whether it's beef, chickens, pork, whatever, if you can, and there are some places you can find this, that's actually a pretty good little niche for you. That's probably going to be close to the next organic, or that's going to be the next step on the local thing, is going to be the non-GMO route. And then the last thing, and I think these two actually are probably going to be the ones that are going to have more impacts across the industry, and that's just going to be the humane treatment of animals. And when we're talking about this, we're not just talking about, people aren't concerned that you put the cows up every night. That's not what they're talking about. What they want to know is that the animal was taken care of its whole life, and that it was relatively comfortable most of its life, right up until the time that it wasn't alive anymore. And so where I think this really can have some impacts for us is if you think about a lot of the things that we do or we have done on the farm when we're our own veterinarian, some of the things we've had to do, if you think about really how humane that was, or if you think about probably how somebody that has not been around animals their whole life, how would they view that? There's a disconnect there in some instances, and so I think at some point in time, there's probably going to be some rules going into place, or some guidelines anyway, on how we treat animals. Do we give them some type of anesthetic or something before we castrate them? Or do they have to be castrated before they reach a certain age, and then you give them an anesthetic? If you've got a cow that's having a problem with a calf, is there a point in which you've got to call a veterinarian or somebody to come give them a shot before you pull the calf, and before you do some of the things that we've had that you have to do? So those are just some big picture items for you there. So I'm gonna wind everything up. We're saying for this year, we're gonna look at lower, less production, higher prices, more money. I still think we're gonna see, increased heifer retention, this year. So I'm gonna end right there. If y'all have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay?
You talk about the last three things, you talk about the antibiotics and the genetically modified stuff, and the humane treatment. The people that were against this got a lot of money.
Yes.
And they get their message out big time. And we need to, as an industry, we need to really give a lot of thought and consideration to getting our story out. We need for people to know that when you pay the kind of money we pay for a brood cow, you don't take her home and abuse her.
That's right. That's right.
And you don't do anything to her that's not going to be profitable. But they don't understand, they don't think about that. They just think about, well, people misusing animals. You know, they come out with these pictures. I don't know how they get them to look so sad. I mean, a whole cow look kind of sad anyhow.
Yes.
But they get the saddest looking ones and they put them on television and say, you know, these people are mistreating their animals and stuff. And we need to get people out on our farms and show them how we do our cattle. We need to get school kids out there. We need to give farm tours and we need to make an effort to get our story out.
Right. I agree.
Tell us about Mr. Bundy. What go help Mr. Bundy's cows out in Nevada?
You know, I don't know. I think I can honestly say, about the only thing that I'm pretty sure about in that whole deal is we don't have all the facts.
No, that's right.
That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Just a comment, I'm from Greene County here, we got 30,000 acres in the national forest. We got 1,500 acres of grazing land. Management wants to take that grazing land away from us. And I pointed to their seal that they've got in their office, it says forage.
Yeah.
But they would love to take that 1,500 acres away from our producers. And right now.
And get the tax off of it instead of the county and the state getting the tax. That's what's the problem out there. He wants the county and the state to get the tax and not the BLM, you know.
Yeah, get the money.
Yeah, get the money from it.
You know, one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize unless you, and I don't know if you've ever seen the map of the United States and how much land the federal government owns. But once you get west of Mississippi,
They own.
They own both of
government
them.
owns
They own 80% out there. Yeah.
Other questions, comments?
What's gonna happen to our packers? They all own, FBL had a fire, and I'm just scared to death. They just keep putting me off when we go off the slaughter line.
Yes.
again. And we don't ever get a packer in the South anymore. All I hear from the little one, you know, we lost all my lifetime.
Yes. The information that I have from FBL is that they are going to get back. They're going to reopen. But I don't think I would bet a whole lot of money on us getting another decent large packer, let's say a medium-sized packer, for fed cattle here in the state. I mean, if you look at the numbers that I put up here for you, and they're looking at those numbers and a whole lot more, to put in a packing plant, you've got to have numbers, and there's nothing there to tell you that there's going to be more cows anytime soon. And if you want a plant, there's one for sale over in Mississippi today. You can buy pretty cheap, and it's pretty big.
But in that cost of moving these cattle around, I just don't understand how they do it now. But they gotta take it off my live price, and that cost is just, a trucker tells me, I used to make a living with a $75,000 truck, and now I gotta have a $200,000 truck and trailer and make the same amount of money we used to make with a $75,000 rate. So So they just, like we farmers, the independents are kind of aged out, so.
Yes,
But we gotta have them, and we gotta carry them where the feed is, so.
right. Yeah, I'm not sure, especially if we're talking about the Fed side of things. I really don't know how this will play out.
With cat prices as high as they are now, few people, we sell a few on the hanging. What, you heard anybody lately, what they're getting for them? Hanging what's,
Are you talking about locally or?
just locally, yeah, just some individuals and some by the hanging weight. You heard anybody lately, how they got a price?
Anywhere from $2.50 to $3 a pound. Yeah, depending on what, how you want to describe the animal.
You know, like $2,
I mean, the national price, depending on, the day and quality, is gonna be anywhere from 240 to 260. So, I mean, that's just the national price.
You know, with that packing house that burned down, can you tell any difference? I can't.
It cost me 10